The MLS playoff picture comes into focus, and Chris Wondolowski chases history next on The Daily. Hey everybody, happy Monday and welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Andrew Eby. I'm Nick Farshaw, looking back at the biggest headlines of the weekend in MLS. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference, where DC United are headed back to the MLS playoffs for the first time since 2007. They got a big 3-2 win over the Columbus Crew. We'll talk about the Crew in a second, but sold out crowd at RFK. Great night for DC United.
Yeah, an amazing game overall, and I think for DC, this was kind of a breaking point. It had been so long, they had to get it done this season, and Ben Olsen said it afterwards, you know what, this feels like old times. This feels like the DC United of old that made the playoffs and was the founding father of MLS. Now they've got to get it done there. Columbus on the other side have to be very disappointed. They had 4 straight in the playoffs. They are now out. A rebuilding job, probably not for Robert Warzihia. They've got a lot of the pieces now. It's just about putting them together, making sure those guys are healthy come 2013.
Well, with that Crew loss, we also learned that the Houston Dynamo and the New York Red Bulls are into the postseason. The Dynamo with a win over the Philadelphia Union, and the Red Bulls with a draw against Sporting Kansas City. Chicago Fire, meanwhile, trying to fight for playoff positioning in the Eastern Conference. They went down to the New England Revolution, so still some jockeying there left between the 5 teams, all qualified for the Eastern Conference postseason. You can check it all out at mlssoccer.com/standings. Next up, the Western Conference, where the Vancouver Whitecaps have locked down that 5th and final postseason berth in the Western Conference, the first Canadian team to do so, and it came at the expense of FC Dallas, who had a chance in Seattle on Sunday night.
Yeah, Kevin Hartman tried to keep him in that one, but it just wasn't to be for them, not the performance that they needed. But Vancouver, you said it, into the playoffs. They don't do it in style, though, losing 1-0 to the Portland Timbers at home. I believe that's the Timbers' first road win of the season, so not exactly pushing in with momentum, but I don't think Martin Rennie and his charges will really care at this point. They're in the postseason. They've got a chance to go forward. They'll have to win that playing game, of course, but a huge, huge moment for Canadian soccer here in MLS.
Backing through into the playoffs a little bit there for the Vancouver Whitecaps. They are still winless all-time against Cascadia opponents in 10 matches in 2 years on the MLS map. But nonetheless, Vancouver headed to the postseason while FC Dallas headed home. Well, Chris Wondolowski inched a bit closer to history on Sunday, got his 26th goal of the season in a 2-2 draw for the San Jose Earthquakes against the LA Galaxy. The Quakes actually wrapped up the Supporters Shield this weekend, but I think that was a given. Everybody's still watching to see if Wondo can set a new record next weekend.
They had chances to get to 27 in this one, Nick, and just couldn't put him away. A big surprise considering the form he's been in all year. The big one, the one that I remember most, on the doorstep, nobody marking him, and he heads it off the post. What can you do with that one? But he's got one more game. Roy Lassiter at the park for this one, rooting Wondolowski on. Seems he wants him to tie that record, possibly even break it. One more game for them. It won't matter. Be interesting to see if Frank Yallop plays him or how much he plays in this last game with playoff position, that Supporters Shield locked up.
That last game at the Portland Timbers next weekend, and you mentioned it, 1 goal to tie the record and 2 to break it. The other storyline in this game, which could have some postseason implications, Omar Gonzalez, the LA Galaxy defender and a reigning defender of the year in MLS, coming out against the Quakes. And pick your poison here. Really said a lot of things about the Quakes' style. Said it was a joke and it was horrible, all these things. What do you make of this? We're probably going to see these teams maybe in the postseason.
Well, I hope so. These 3 matchups this year have been amazing. If we can get that one in the postseason, I think every neutral fan will be very happy. On Omar Gonzalez's side, it sounds a little bit like sour grapes. After a game in which they were up, after a game they thought they would win, he's not happy with that physical play. We all know what San Jose is about. Let's see if they match up again in the postseason, and let's see how that matchup between him and Linhart is at that time.
We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the latest edition of Extra Time Radio. The podcast comes out on Monday on iTunes and Buzzsprout. And for all the latest headlines and video highlights and your complete coverage of the MLS postseason, log on to mlssoccer.com.